between Amulet Hotkey and Stratodesk. My name's Lee Pearce. I'm the marketing manager for Amulet Hotkey. We're pleased that you've been able to join us today for this exclusive webinar showcasing the collaborative synergy between Amulet Hotkey and Stratodesk. The webinar will be presented by a team of experts from both Amulet and Stratodesk, where we reveal the path to maturing your digital workspace program to meet current and future work demands. The webinar will be recorded, and we will share this with you if you wish after the end of the event. If you do have any questions, there is a chat box function on the site, as you can probably see there, and there's also a Q&A. So if you do have any questions, please put it in the chat or the Q&A. Alternatively, you can visit the Stratodesk or Amulet Hotkey websites for more information there. This is the agenda for the day, and so it should last around 40 minutes or so for the introductions and what have you. But like I said, if you do have any questions, please use the chat and Q&A function on the site there. And I will now pass across to James Grundon from Amulet Hotkey. So James, if you want to take control, hopefully, of the page.
Sure, no problem. Great. Hopefully you can hear me and see that. So just to introduce myself, so James Grundon from Amulet Hotkey. So my title is Enterprise Solutions Director. So I'm responsible for some of our end-to-end solutions business, of which Thin Client is a very important piece of that solution architecture. Just a quick introduction to Amulet Hotkey before we get into what we do. So we are 30 years old as a business, just over 30 years old, in fact, headquartered in the UK, and specialize in remote working, remote computing. In our 30 years, deployed somewhere in the region of 100,000 remote and or virtual desktops and 200,000 plus endpoints. So a lot of scale out there, and particularly in mission and business critical environments, not exclusively, but those are areas of the market where we're particularly strong, and that includes, as referenced there, the financial services sector. So in terms of what we actually do and are capable of, so as I mentioned, we're UK headquartered, and we're actually a technology manufacturer as well as a systems integrator. So we have an engineering team that actually do our own sort of product design. That includes sort of thermal, mechanical, and firmware engineers that are designing products that we then bring to market. We also have our own manufacturing capability, and that is full end-to-end electronics manufacturing. So we are truly an electronics manufacturer as well as an integrator. And that manufacturing facility is based in the UK, but we are and have been for many years shipping globally. We also partner with a range of other vendors, Stratodesk, of course, being a key vendor in that space, but at a hardware level, also companies like NVIDIA, Dell, Intel, and some of the software vendors like Citrix and VMware. So key to us is obviously bringing our own products to market, but also partnering with those industry leaders in their own technologies. So just to go into what we actually bring to market in terms of products and solutions. So our products are split into three main categories. So Performance VDI covers all of our data center infrastructure. So that is both VDI and remote workstation platforms, which forms a range of products that we call Core Station. And then, of course, we have the secure endpoint technologies, which is the focus of the discussion today, in partnership with Stratodesk. And then we have a custom GPU solution business as well. So this is really around sort of tailoring data center platforms to fit as much GPU compute as possible. So that's really leveraging our engineering function to build sort of really scalable data center platforms. Coming on to the sort of primary markets that we serve. So we're present in all sorts of markets, but there's three key markets that we're most active in. The first of those is the financial services sector. We've been working in the sector for more than 30 years now, since the business started. And here we're focused primarily on the challenging users within that market. So that's traders, developers, research, all of the users that are difficult to provide a traditional virtual desktop solution to. And you can see some of our customer logos there in this sector. Then also the media, entertainment and gaming sector is a particularly large one for us, especially for thin client technologies. And the reasons for wanting to centralize are quite clearly outlined on these slides. It's predominantly around sort of increasing security, improving access to systems and services for all the users. And this is a market that we've been active in for more than 10 years now, and is rapidly growing for us. So a real focus for us on media, entertainment and gaming as a vertical. And then, of course, there's government and defence. So Amulet Hotkey has been present in the government and defence space for almost 20 years now. It is our second largest market. And that is, of course, around providing secure remote access to systems. And our thin client technologies are a really important part of that. They're deployed in a lot of sort of highly secure or deployed environments, which sort of really differentiates us from other thin client vendors in the market. So just want to delve into a couple of the products that we actually offer. All of these products are, of course, available with Stratodesk notouch OS. There's three main products that I want to call out. The first is the DX1300 thin client, which is our sort of entry-level thin client for larger scale deployments. So this is based on an AMD Ryzen system on chip architecture, very compact, dual screen, metal case, designed to be deployed at quite large scale, sort of hitting that lower price point and lower performance for sort of task workers and other more standard VDI deployment. And then moving up to our DX1600 thin client, which again is based on a Ryzen system on chip architecture, but a little bit more chunky. This is quad screen, very sort of industrial metal casing, so designed to be installed in environments where the unit is expected to run 24/7, 365 for probably 5+ years. So a sort of really highly reliable device. And again, as I said, supporting up to 4 monitors at 4K UHD, but in that passive design, so no moving parts at all in that device. Particularly long lasting in design. We actually have a lot of solder components on this board, so it's a particularly hard wearing unit. And then also wanted to talk about our new 5th gen client. So this is just recently launched, and this is based on Intel and a slightly more flexible approach to thin client for us, because it's got a range of processor options supported. That's all the way from Celeron up to i7. So this is a device that can serve sort of very basic thin client requirements, as well as almost approaching that kind of compact PC territory when you're up at the kind of i5, i7 end of the performance spectrum. So again, compact, passively cooled, lock-in power connector, intrusion detection switches, and support for up to 4 monitors at 4K UHD. So really kind of unique approach to thin client in the market. We're much more focused on delivering reliability, security, and performance, because the thin client is a really important piece of any remote workstation or virtual desktop infrastructure. It is the device that all of the users use to access that infrastructure, and it's critical that it's both reliable and not a bottleneck in terms of performance. So we put a lot of focus into the thin client design for that reason. You can see a bit more imagery of the devices here. So there's obviously data sheets and technical documentation available that we can share and is available on our website. But you can see there, the physical design is fairly common across all our devices in terms of metal casing, hard wearing, sort of form factor and design. Great. So I'm going to hand over to Paul now to cover the Stratodesk end of the presentation. And any questions, please share them in the chat.
Thank you, James. All right, let me get my screen set up here. All right. So appreciate that. Thank you, James. So I'm Paul Javinsky. I'm with Stratodesk. I'm a solutions engineer and based out of Western Massachusetts. Been here about 15 months now. Let's get down here. So just a little bit about Stratodesk. I mean, the bottom line, I kind of like to say in the end, we are the secure enterprise endpoint OS, right? That's who we are. That's what we are. You can see our company mission here. I really think starting to get our name out there. We've been around quite a while, but really making more of an impression lately. In the last few years, I see more and more recognition of our name, going out there. We've got over 2 million under license here. You see that. We have roots in Europe, so we've started there, and we have support centers both in the US and Europe as well, right? So you really start to see Stratodesk in the last few years really coming into the mainstream. So when we talk about Stratodesk, we're really talking about no-touch OS, right? This is the endpoint operating system. It's our version of Linux. It is not an Ubuntu or Red Hat that we take and manipulate. This is our distribution of Linux. Gives us a ton of flexibility, whether it be working with you, the customer, for applications you need, whether it be the hardware agnostics we have there, working with partners like Amulet. It's our version of Linux, so lots of flexibility there. And it also lets us keep it that the hyper security that we're looking at for the endpoint. We're also going to have the No-Touch Center. The No-Touch Center is the management console, and whether you have one license or 5,000 or 50,000 licenses, you have the right to this. It's a very easy to use, simple kind of a hierarchy structure, and I'm going to show you a quick demo of that towards the end here of the No-Touch Center. So really, this is when we're talking about Stratodesk, this is mainly what we're going to be talking about down there quite a bit. So in general, when we're talking about end users and what's going on out there in the field and what we see, right? COVID changed a lot. I think it kind of exacerbated what we were already seeing in the industry already, right? So you as an IT provider for your customers, for your end users, you're seeing a lot of disruption. You saw a lot of remote work from home, on top of already seeing a multitude of hardware and seeing all this different support problems that you had to do at the endpoint, but now you just stretched out the geography even more. Some of the bigger places you already had geographic issues to deal with, right? So we see that, and then trying to keep a customer experience that's seamless and easy, and right, it's always been that challenge, right? And then the efficiencies. What operationally? How do you address that? How do you make that in a manageable way? How do you keep that experience clean, right? It's not an easy task to do. And then of course the market's going to be changing. You're going to have new things thrown in there. Good example would be Windows 10 was the last Windows endpoint edition they were making. Well, Windows 11, and what are those requirements and everything else, right? And then there's all sorts of other market changes that come in. And all this while you're trying to maintain some sort of compliance in your industry, your security in general, going on there, right? So these are the challenges that we see going on quite a bit. So for us as Stratodesk and how we address it on the endpoint, again, I've talked about the security of the endpoint, the life cycle, because it's our hardware, because we're so flexible with it, with our kernel versions that we can put out there for you. We can extend your hardware life significantly. So 7-10+ years is common, not unheard of at all. We have a lot of flexibility when it comes to licensing, when it comes to whether you want it as a service, whether you want it perpetual, traditional. We're real flexible with that as well. So a lot of little benefits to Stratodesk as the endpoint, addressing all those needs, the digital transformation, etc. James had already kind of talked about his hardware, but part of that relationship with Amulet, right? So we work with them. So when this latest generation comes out for Amulet, we've already addressed and come out with maybe taking advantage, aggregating NICs, or taking advantage of new chipsets, or whatever it might be. that it's ready to go for the market. So the benefits of collaborating together, right, as a company. And in another, specifically, there might be a lot of customers out there that are on the old Terra 2 chipset, so they're very purpose-built zero clients for Terra DT, right? And now VMware has announced they're going away from PC over IP. So you're looking for that transition. You're looking for a way. And this is just kind of want to highlight, kind of show a little bit of where you might be going. And as you're going from zero to thin, more likely clients, as you're taking that route and you're looking for devices and considering other protocols. So it might still be PC over IP for a while. You might end up changing it over to PC over IP Ultra. You might go into Blast if you stay with VMware. It might be Citrix and go into HDX, right? So we just to show you maybe a path, and you know the Hotkey DX series with Amulet running a Stratodesk OS, right? So there are methods, there are ways, you know, to have a discussion with us, have a discussion with Amulet on how maybe that path is going to look like, right, to transition. To the Stratodesk use cases, we do have a lot of VDI use case, kind of that traditional thin client look, but SaaS has really become an integral part. So you find a lot of VDI mixed with SaaS kind of going on there, right? So there's a lot of that. So the local browser on the desktop is important, right? Whether it be Chrome, whether it be Chromium, whether it be Firefox, etc. Edge even, you'll see out there. You know, we have point of sales, we device endpoints, we have HMI would be another one in the manufacturing industry specifically. But you know, Stratodesk is a full Linux OS, right? So it's not just the thin client, so it does a lot more than just the VDI as well. So just to highlight that. And just to kind of show that off a little bit too, right? The different industries that we're in. Financial industries, obviously, if we're working with Amulet, right? They're big in the financial, so we're there with them. Anywhere like financial, maybe in the government where security is a huge thing because of our security strengths, you're going to find us in a lot of those government. And then healthcare being a traditionally big VDI vendor, you'll see them there. But really, we're really involved, you know, high security, lots of VDI, lots of SaaS, kind of endpoint usage is where you'll see us. I'm gonna, for the interest of time, skip over the case studies, but if you do ask, this video will be out there, right? And you'll see the Achieva Credit Union case study, and then we have a South County Health one in there as well. So with that, let me actually jump over to the demo here. Oh. So just to show off, so this is the Stratodesk no-touch console. So when you come in, a device from a no-touch OS device is going to come in, it's going to check into the no-touch console, and it's going to pull down its entire configuration. And that entire configuration really does mean who has the right to administer it, who has the right to shadow, what applications does the user see, what printer do they get, absolutely every piece of that device. So in this hierarchy type form, I might have a device. So here's my Amulet device in the Boston region, and it's pulling its settings, and I could see it's getting its settings from above here, from the group settings from Boston, which might be pulling in settings from the top level as well, right? So in this hierarchy, if I move this device, say to Philly, now it would be the Philly configuration that it's going to get. So it's real easy for this to be configured and moved around and changed. And also, if I throw another device in here, it's going to inherit all these settings, right? So I can quickly go in here in the management, and you can see all the possible settings we have here for this device. There's an absolute ton of them, right? But if I want to just concentrate on the ones that are changed at this level, changed at this device, excuse me. So I can see changes that are at the device level. I can see other policies that are pushed out to the machine in exactly where they come from, whether they come from the Boston settings or whether they come from up above at the top level, right? So it's really easy to manage, really easy to pick up those settings, really easy to make those changes. It makes management simple because, again, I don't care about the endpoint as far as individual configuration. It's going to get pulled up here, central management of it, central location configuration of the device, right? And they make that even easier. I can even recognize when a device comes in, it's automatically going to check into unassigned if I don't change it by default, right? It doesn't know where to go. But I could do little triggers like maybe a VLAN that says, you know what, when I recognize a device, a no-touch OS device come in, check into my no-touch center, I want you to automatically, by this VLAN, say, hey, you belong to Boston. I check in, I go to Boston, I automatically get all the configuration for it, right? So it's very, very easy, very little work, that no touch, kind of philosophy that we have, right? Reason for the name. So other great little features when I'm going to do updates, very easy to do. I'm going to store a repository of my updates here in the image. Our images are around 3 gig, right? So they're very small. We don't patch, we do an image. So when a new update comes out for VMware Horizon Client or Citrix, or a new CVE comes out, we can address it in either day one with the manufacturers, the vendors like a Citrix, like a Horizon, etc. We have a client out there, or with CVE, we're immediately responsive. We're very quick to put out an address. You can immediately address to your clients. And I can put it in here. I could choose from my repository that I put into my notouch center what version of software I'm going to go put out to it. I'm going to deploy it out, and I'm going to put little criteria around it. It says, all right, I want everyone in Boston to get this, but you know what, you can't do it during working hours. No, so from 8 to 8, don't do this update Monday through Friday. Make sure it's idle 30 minutes in case someone's working late. I get all this criteria I can put around it, right? Don't start it until December 15th or December 16th, whatever the criteria might be. I can do great things like concurrency. Don't update more than 5 at a time. I really don't want that many at a time being updated. So I get all these controls, including go to this local device to pick up the firmware to do the update, or go ahead and go to this different web server altogether, whether it be another virtual appliance that you feel free to use from us, or whether you have your own, right? So I have all these possibilities. I don't have to go across the WAN and grab these images and put them back. So it's just all this great criteria around it, set up for easy management, easy deployment, easy updating, right? Very, very, very simple. Another cool little thing to show you is as maybe a help desk or an admin, someone coming in here and they're looking for help. If I'm trying to find a device, we have multiple ways you could do it. I could search through it here, right? If I know like the name is hotkey and it'll find it, that's helpful. But there might be 100 of those out there, or 1,000 of those out there. So the end user can sit at their end and on their keyboard hit Control-Alt-I, like an identification. You see that little pop-up on the admin screen. So on the client end, I hit the Control-Alt-I. It's kind of like a little hand raise. If I miss the pop-up, there's a little bell up here to say, hey, you got something. But what I'm really looking at is right here. I would have my list. I can find out the IP address, the image it's running, the location, which is probably the most significant to me, right, for what it's doing. I could come in here and click on it real quick, and now I'm into that device. And even better, if I've got 5,000 of these, I can quickly go reveal and tree, and boom, it's highlighted. So now immediately as a support person, I can come in here. I can now get to the root of what's going on. I can see the everything about this machine. I can shadow this machine to help them, because maybe the issue is before they get to their SaaS apps, or before they get to their virtual devices, right? And I quickly shadow, and I'm on and running on that device. So it's a nice, quick, easy way for your help desk or for your folks to get in there and take care of it. So another great feature is the web access. So I can click in here, and I could go into this device, and it's the local configuration of the device. So the user doesn't see this like they do on a shadow, but I'm now, as an administrator, on that local device. If I look at the connections, remember this configuration was pulled from the no touch center, so that should look a lot like the connections I see there. All the other settings are going to match too, right? That's where it's getting it from. But some additional things I have is like this debug information. So this is great for troubleshooting different things, or for looking at stuff to make sure that it's correct. If I look at cache, I could see the additional things like that wallpaper. If you notice, I had a Boston background scene on that. Right, I got to see if there was an issue pulling that in, or where exactly came from. If I'm sideloading additional software, I'm going to see it in here as well too. Devices, I can go look at the USB. Bob from accounting calls me up, and he can't quite get in to do his webcam conference. Well, Bob, I don't see the Logitech webcam, my USB device I gave you, right? It's not listed in your USB devices. Or maybe I have to do some work with VMware Citrix for optimization. I need that vidPID real quick. I can get it. So it's a real powerful tool for the admins. I can get there quickly because of that little hand raise. A lot of little quick things you could do. And there's also, I can quickly get in here, right click and actions and get a support file. We're going to run a little script. That file is going to download locally to me, the admin, so I could supply that for extra help with a little description. And it gives me everything about the connection. It gives me everything about the device. It gives, gives me everything I need to know, right? And it feeds it for support. Real quick, easy way to do it. Don't have to have the user read off an asset tag or anything like that. And then on these connections themselves, if you look at, if I come in here and maybe my Horizon client, if I come in and I can pre-configure some things, right? And again, I know this is coming from the Boston criteria. I can make it launch it, start up automatically if I want to. I have all this little criteria around it because I chose the VMware view as a connection, right? Of all the possible connections, applications from the image. I also have all this additional data I could do up here, right? This is specific to the connection type. That's why there, if I click on Citrix, you're going to see different options under the Citrix, right? Under its configuration. I can do things like also if I'm changing for my user as I go from PC over IP maybe to Blast, maybe I want to change the icon sort. I'm going to give a higher priority so that icon's in the top connection. There's all sorts of little minutia and configurations you could do. As an enterprise app, you'd expect that, but it's very simple and easy to get started, get it out there, and move it through. So there's a lot of little things you'll learn and get to, but it's a very powerful, very quick and easy software to get into, right? And then again, the updates, resources, I can store my as a repository. I can actually synchronize these files across multiple virtual appliances. So if I have a geographically dispersed area, right, I could have these automatically synced, and those different locations are going to point to their own virtual appliance to get the update. Right? So there's a lot of little cool things there. The update size, like I mentioned, these are around 3 gig. There's even smaller ones if you're specializing in VMware only or Citrix only or whatever it is. Different things. So the firmware is very, very small, very easy to do full updates with. And as you'd expect too, if I look up here, I can do some LDAP connectivity. I have all these roles where I can go into, so only certain people of different groups, right, can administer, can do things, etc. So in to help you out there, we're going to give you a bunch of groups to start with, you know, different levels. So I can get to the minutia and very, very specifically say, this person can update in Philly, but not in Boston. This person could do remote. This person can't. All these different things, all these different settings you could do. Again, expectations of an enterprise software that you would are there, right? All the different features. So I mean that's a real quick kind of overview of the different features. We can do a lot more. I'd ask for you to kind of reach out to us and we can give you a proper demo, have a discussion, go a little further on this, you know, on what we can do for you. With that, I think I shortened my slide presentation a little bit more than I meant to, Lee. So we're actually ahead of where I thought we were going to be here. So that's the lack of questions in a webinar. So, but I would like to open up a little bit more. And if we have any kind of questions or a little bit more time for discussion, let's go ahead and jump into that. Lee,
okay.
Yep, there you go.
Okay, thank you, Paul, for that. Let me just can jump out and I'll share my screen.
Absolutely. Jump back over to that. I'm just going to find that setting spot in Zoom. Oh, my screen. There we go. Stop sharing. There you
go. Okay. Thank you for that. So we've had a few questions come in during the sessions. So Paul and James, if you're able to answer some of these. So the first one we've got is, how is this solution a good fit for media and entertainment?
Paul, do you want to tackle that from a Stratodesk perspective, or should I take that from an Amulet hardware perspective?
I mean, media's in your heart, and I can talk about it. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, so I mean, I guess from an Amulet hotkey perspective, so OS aside, in terms of what we're trying to achieve with the hardware design, because we're focused on a combination of performance and reliability and security, our devices are a very good fit for that space. Often they're installed into environments that require something to be quiet and reliable for very long periods of time, but also to perform well. within the media, entertainment and gaming sector as a whole, there's quite a lot of demand for high frame rate video. That needs to be consistent. And so I think our approach around trying to ensure we're delivering reliable performance, but in that sort of compact and passive form factor, is a really good sort of technical fit for that use case.
And just a quick add to that, I know we've worked with y'all, and we've worked with some media customers to add specific software they may need or something of that idea. Again, our code of Linux, so we're able to more quickly adapt to the needs of the clients.
Okay, so next question we've got is, excuse me, what specific security features does this solution include?
So, I mean, the security for us is kind of our starting point from a Stratodesk perspective. It is a lockdown operating system, right? So there is no install on the client end, no abilities, and it's fully controlled by an administrator, right? So it's by design locked down. Besides being in Linux OS, we take it even further from there, and being our version of our distribution. In addition to the encryptions there, if you need it for any of that local little caching going on, even though it's all wiped on boot, and in the limited to no access for the local users. There's secure card support kind of stuff. 90 meters, one that we've dealt with. So again, more Fed space, I guess, kind of stuff. But working with all those different vendors for additional security.
That is a question we get a lot from customers that are looking to transition from maybe an architecture like Zero Client to Thin Client, because Zero Client is, no operating system, very locked down, very secure. I think the transition to Thin Client is a big one for some, and so because of how tightly Stratodesk can be locked down, it's a particularly good option for those customers that are looking at that transition. But I think also, just to answer that from a hardware perspective as well, so some of our devices like the DX1600 take security to the absolute maximum with soldered components where possible. So you can't tamper with anything. Newer products like the 5th gen client we mentioned, we also have the option for chassis intrusion switches, and of course, standard physical security features that you'd expect from a device that's deployed into highly secure environments. So yeah, we also take security quite seriously from a manufacturing and from a hardware design perspective.
Okay, we've got another question coming in about the 5th gen device, and when will it be available with Stratodesk?
The short version is now. We have started shipping. We are not quite at full production volumes yet, but we are already accepting orders and able to ship with Stratodesk notouch OS pre-installed.
Okay. We've got another question come through. I was referred to your company from Olsen out of Omaha, and I was looking for a KVM switch. Does the DX1600 Thin Client or 5th gen client work like a KVM switch? I've got a close surveillance network and an IT system that is open to the World Wide Web.
So neither of the products are KVM switches in the traditional sense. I think some people do group them into the same category as KVM extenders. I mean, truly they are thin clients, but if you're looking to provide keyboard, video, and mouse remote access to a system, then that is essentially what they deliver. You can use them in a rudimentary way to switch between systems, but they're not a KVM switch in the traditional sense. We're happy to have a discussion about that after the call if you've got some more specific requirements. It doesn't sound like the requirement is quite for a thin client, so we should probably have a chat offline about that one.
Okay. So the Paul, this is for you, I suppose. There's a free download. Is that correct, of the Stratodesk notouch OS?
There is a free download. I had a slide for that. I shortened my presentation.
There's one right in front of you.
So let me share my screen again real quick. Oh, I can't share. But yeah, on the presentation, right? There was a thank you.
Okay.
So yeah, absolutely. We'd love to give it out. We're very confident in our software and how it'll work and function for you. So absolutely, I'm sure there'll be some marketing from this webinar too to reach out. But if not, yeah, absolutely, reach out to what you see on the screen there. We're more than happy to set you up. Very easy, very quick to get going. You'll be an expert in no time.
Excellent, thank you. Well, there's no more questions that have come through. So if anybody does have any questions or any chats, please share them. But I'd like to thank Paul and James for their time today. It's been very useful. If anybody that's attending does want to know a bit more about Stratodesk or Amulet, there are some links there to go through and ask the team specific questions, or otherwise all the information is available on the websites. So as I mentioned, this has been recorded, so we can share the recording with you if you wish, and if you do require any more questions answered, please reach out to us directly. So but thank you everyone for joining today, and we will end the webinar now, and thanks very much for attending.